Hello, it's Cathy with Let's Talk Together. I've written another book. I've just posted it on Amazon and it's available on my website, Let's Talk Together. And it's there behind me, Grief Unveiled. Since 2023, I've been writing articles about grief, and it's weird and strange experiences and the pain of it and the amazing change in our life that happens when we lose somebody we love. And just as a preamble, to say that, grief doesn't occur only when we've lost somebody that we care about. So it certainly does occur then, and that's probably the way we think about it most. But it also happens when we've lost a job, when we've had a big financial setback. If we've maybe lost our home, or we have an illness, or we've lost a pet, or we've been forced to move out of our house or our country even. So there are many, many reasons that our brain just kicks in and says, what the heck just happened? And what do I do now? And, there's some circumstances where we really do have to deal with the immediate impact of what's happened. So we've lost a job. We need to pull our resume together if we haven't done it already and look for another one. And while we're doing that, we are grieving. We are dealing with the shock of it and the pain that comes with it and the isolation we often feel because of it. So there are many, many nuances to what is actually a very common experience. I mean, everybody, I would venture to say, has experienced or will experience grief at some point in their life. And I always think it's useful to know what it is that you're dealing with or potentially could be dealing with. And, if there's a better way to go through it without really struggling with a lot of the negative aftermath of it, then that would be good to know, I think. Anyway, so this book called Grief Unveiled is a collection of my writings since 2023. It's curated, so not everything I've written is in this book, but many things are. And I have broken the articles down into a few categories. One is just generally an overview: early grief, what I call transitional grief, mature grief, talk about people and community, what happens to us in respect of the world around us and what people expect of us. Then I have a few articles about celebrations and holidays and what that means to a person who's really not entirely who they used to be. We don't have sometimes, the capacity for engagement or enjoyment, especially in the early stages. It talks about Mother's Day and Father's Day and Christmas and the New Year. And then the last words, I always like to turn the writings, whatever they are, over to the divine, because I think that is a very important part of our life, whether we sort of are constantly aware of it or not. And when I write these articles or the two books that are now online at Amazon and on my website, when I write, I want to share information. So very often I share my own story. I've been through a fair bit in the last 10 years, and 11 years, I guess. So it's my story, but I write my story as an illustration for you, the reader, to maybe see yourself in that story, to maybe understand some of the pressures and stresses that you've been dealing with. My story is just my story. It's not the story for any stretch of the imagination. But it is an illustration and an example. And then I always follow up with, so here are the things that I've learned. Having gone through my own experience, I did a lot of research and took some courses and what is this thing? Because that's kind of the way my mind works. And then after I did all that, I thought, I've learned a lot. I've lived through a lot. And I want to share that with people who maybe can benefit from what I share. And so I'm always thinking of you when I'm writing. And I always want to leave you with a sense of hope and encouragement, because, as painful as it is in the early stages, it will get better. Grief will never leave, especially the grief around losing somebody we love. We always have the memory of that person and the times that we spent with them, good, bad, and indifferent. Yeah, so we do have the memories, the grief itself, the pain, the disorientation, the sense of now having to change our life, and actually grieving the life we thought we were going to have and we are now not going to have because of this event, whatever it is. So grief has many phases, many faces. Anyway, so in my book, I talk about all those things, and I talk about some kind of odd concepts. At least they were odd to me until I came across them. So I'm going to read to you Skin Hunger. Oof, where is it there? Skin Hunger. So when I came across that term, I'm like, oh, what's that got to do with grief? A lot, actually. And it kind of, I don't think it's in this article, but I was reading somewhere that we need a minimum of 4 hugs a day for survival. Well, I can tell you as a widow with no children, I don't get 4 hugs a day. So when I write my articles, I'm kind of giving myself a hug. And I'm kind of imagining giving you a hug. So I'm not going to read everything in this article. It's a lot that you can read on your own, but I will read some things. So it's called Skin Hunger: How Important is Touch in Grief? And I posted this on Substack, which is a writer's platform, in October of 24. I recently heard this term, skin hunger. Doing a little research, I discovered that this phenomenon is also called social touch starvation, hug deprivation, affection deprivation, and possibly a few other terms. At its simplest, it means that our skin, the largest organ of the body, is the primary receptor of touch and our connection with the world external to ourselves. Nerves in the epidermis, or the outer layer of cells on the skin, send messages about the outer world to the brain, which in turn sends information to the entire body, preparing it for fight or flight, or alternatively, security and approachability. The impact of touch goes beyond the outer skin layer to the most internal features of the body. When we are isolated from other people, we don't get enough physical connection to calm our nervous system. We're wired to be social creatures. We need the whole village to provide all the resources we require to be happy and healthy. Without it, we are left on our own to feed and shelter ourselves and fight off predators. I talked with my massage therapist, Kate, about this idea of touch starvation. She said that not only does our outer skin respond to physical touch, but that the more inner layers of the body benefit as well. For example, fascia is a tissue which covers muscles. Massage that focuses on fascia helps muscles move with ease. In fact, the surface nerves in the skin send messages to the brain, stimulating the limbic system, which produces dopamine and other calming hormones to help relax tired muscles. Hugs. Most of my friends are huggers. It's not something that comes spontaneously to me. At least it didn't until recent years as I got more used to people just kind of coming up with a hug. Hello, hello, and they hug you. There was no touch in my family of origin, not even a pat on the back or a handshake. So it took me quite a while to get comfortable enough with hugs to actually begin to offer them on my own. The role of touch in human development is complex. There are different types of touch. The handshake is a social convention in business or casual social greetings or departures. Even the most nervous person might agree to shake hands because it is a social norm. So often in grief, especially in the early stage, we tend to withdraw or even isolate from other people. We are dealing with so much internal pain that also allow hugs. Did I get that right? Dealing with so much internal pain that also allowing hugs or even handshakes can be just too much to handle. Sadly, this response also limits our access to the emotional healing that touch affords. The people who find it comforting to be held benefit from all the help that human connection brings. They have the visceral assurance that care, concern, and support are still accessible. So I recommend getting many hugs, regardless of whatever stage of grief you're in. You get the dopamine hit with everyone, maybe even more than with chocolate. Go for a massage or even a foot rub, maybe a shampoo at the hair salon. Sit on a park bench and say hello to passersby. Walk with bare feet on the grass. Hug a tree. Take in the scents of the ocean, garden, or forest. These are not strictly social touch, but they do awaken the senses and get us in touch with the external world. And you know what? You can even hug yourself. So that's an example of what I write and how I write. And I'm always thinking of you and hoping that you will see a little something in yourself of your experience or benefit, and that you'll find enough interest to pick up my book, of course. So it's available on Amazon and on my website, letstalktogether.ca. I am in Canada. Yeah, so I hope you like this video. I'd appreciate it if you would share it, because lots of people need to know that grief is doable. It is well, I don't want to say it's overcomable, but it does, we do sort of grow around it and absorb it into our existence in our life. And, we do have to change who we are in the world and in our internal systems. And if you'd like to become a subscriber, that would be fabulous. Thank you so much.